As a preliminary matter, this is Wendy Steinhover, Chair of the Auburn Planning Board.
This conference will now be recorded.
Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can you hear me? Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. John Reagan?
Affirmative.
Ron Brooks?
Yes.
Scott Wren?
Present.
Nick Lynch?
Affirmative.
Steve Chambers?
Present.
Town officials and employees participating, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Town planner Adam Menard.
Here.
Gas assistant Rachel Cressy. Present. EDIS director Darlene Coyle.
Here.
Building commissioner Caleb Moody.
Here.
Okay, good evening. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Planning Board of Tuesday, April 28th, 2020, now called to order at 7 p.m. The meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth and due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Planning Board is convening by remote participation for the public only, although some members of the Planning Board are physically located in the select meeting room in Town Hall. Those members and employees are practicing social distancing in accordance with the governor's orders. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, call 1-312-757-3121 and enter access code 133-747-477. Or the public can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/133-747-477. The remote access information has been posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. Accordingly, those members of the Planning Board, employees, and members of the public who participate, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. We're not turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, Chair of the Board, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the Chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the Chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the Chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the Chair will afford public comment as follows. I'll first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. And once the Chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. If technical difficulties arise, I will suspend the meeting while the resolve are made, and keep accurate minutes noting any disconnections and reconnections of numbers. So I think the first thing we would like to talk about tonight is the discussion about the SWEB development at 430 Rochdale Street. We're requesting an extension of the timeline.
Yeah, their decision is going to expire in a couple of months. So National Grid's been delaying some of these solar projects with a big study they've been conducting. So they're looking to extend this decision for another 2 years.
For another 2 years, have any comments? Any members of the board have a comment on the extension request?
Wendy, it's Ronnie.
Okay.
I'm just curious, do we extend it for 1 year or for 2 years? Because if National Grid decides not to expand their substations to accept these, then and we accept it, we expand it beyond the year, then it'll be just maybe just sitting there. It's up to the board. It's just a thought.
That's a good point. Anybody else have any thoughts or comments along that line from the board?
Wendy, this is John. I agree with Ron. 1 year at a time.
1 year at a time. Okay. Anyone else?
Wendy, this is Scott. I second or third that opinion as well. I think just to keep a short leash on things, and if they need more time, they can come back next year. That wouldn't be an issue.
Okay, Nick Lynch, do you have any comments?
No, I agree with everybody else.
Okay, Steve Chambers?
No comment. No additional comments.
Okay, and is there any comment from the public?
Hi, this is Sarah Rosenblatt from Swept Development. I was the person who submitted the letter. Just here to answer any other questions, comments, or concerns in regards to the National Grid System Impact Study and our project. We are fine to come back in a year. There's no problem for us to do that. So if there's anything else, I'm happy to address that now.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other comments from the board? Any other comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to continue the SWEB development special permit to June 19th, 2021.
I'll make that motion, Wendy, to extend the timeline to June 19th, 2021.
John Regan makes the motion. Is there a second?
Scott Wren, I'll second.
Wendy?
Yes, Ron?
Wendy? Yeah, I'm not sure. I just want to state that I guess I should state that I was participating or suggesting that as a member of the public, because I remember now, because I think that's the one that's across the street from me. Sarah, are you the one that's across the street from me?
Hi, Ron. Yes, that's correct. We are across the street there from you at 430 Rochdale.
Go with Mike Terry.
Correct.
Ron, you have recused yourself from the initial hearing. Okay. Those comments were made as a member of the public and not as a member of the board.
Yeah.
So the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Nick Lynch?
Aye.
Steve Chambers?
Aye.
Scott Wren?
Aye.
John Regan?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber, aye. It is a vote. Thank you, Sarah. We'll hopefully you guys will get that off the ground.
Perfect. Thank you.
Applicant Eastland Partners requests a site plan approval under section 3.2.2.1 and 5.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a two-family dwelling on property located at 23-25 Albert Street, map 65, parcel 42. Is there someone here from Eastland Partners?
Yep, Clayton Williams is here for Eastern Partners. Thank you.
Clayton, and also, is Bill Coyle attending this evening, or
No, he's not.
Adam?
No, he's not.
Okay. So, Clayton, we have quite a few comments in regard to 23 and 25 Albert Street. Were you able to review those?
Yes, we were. They came in Thursday afternoon, so unfortunately we were not able to submit the revised plans and comments to the board, but my engineer Steve O'Connell is here with me, and he can go over our responses verbally, and then we'll submit the formal package for the next meeting.
Okay, and do we want to wait until we get the formal responses, or do we want to go over each one of these comments for each one of these lots this evening?
Well, I would ask if anybody, I'd go through each one, even if it's just briefly, maybe not every comment, just so if there's any more concerns by the board or by the public, they have that opportunity.
Okay, so we're going to have to read these in, or are we going to allow people to read them themselves, or what do you suggest?
I'd suggest just Clay and Steve just kind of run down what some of the concerns were and how they're going to address them.
Okay, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Williams, if you'd like to address the comments made by Mr. Coyle.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Steve O'Connell, our engineer with Turning Point Engineering.
Okay.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. So there were a lot of repetitive comments. There was generally between 5 and 9 comments. 4 or 5 of those were repetitive on each plan. Essentially, we have no objections to any of the comments, just kind of in a general nature. We have revised plans and responses ready to submit, but we thought we'd take any input this evening that may need to be incorporated in those. So why don't I just start by going down quickly down the list. The first comment is asking about NIPDs. That's an EPA stormwater permit. And yes, the permit that was filed with the EPA incorporated all of the proposed work on the lots. We are in full compliance, and we're happy to provide a certification letter indicating that.
Okay, number 2.
The next comment talks about drainage easements. The easements that are on the approved subdivision plans should show up on the site plans. Again, no objection. We're happy to do that, and we have that ready to go on our revised plan. The third comment talks about a 10-foot cut in the grade, and that runoff from behind the dwelling is directed towards Blaker Street. In the original subdivision's hydrology analysis, that was accounted for, runoff going towards Blaker, but to address town engineer's comment, we did some grading revisions to direct about 3/4 of the lot grading towards the stormwater basin that was approved on the subdivision plan. So I think you and he will be satisfied with that revision. Similar response to number 4, foundation drains were directed towards Blaker Street. Those have been redirected towards the stormwater basin on the revised plan. Comment number 5 is unique on this application for 23-25. During town engineer's review, he noticed that there were some adjustments to the stormwater basin associated with the subdivision. I've got a comprehensive response prepared to submit to you, but I'm happy to address that briefly now. If you recall, on the subdivision plans, there are 3 components to that stormwater basin. Infiltration basin 1, infiltration basin 2, and a sediment forebay. Due to ledge that was encountered during the start of the construction out there in the location of sediment forebay, it got moved, instead of being up above infiltration basin 2, it got moved just to the right, and it was treated as a construction phase sediment basin, but it was constructed to the specifications of the final sediment forebay. We are working on a modification to come back to the board for that location to be the final permanent location of the sediment forebay. That modification will incorporate stormwater calculations available for review by Graves and town engineer and anyone who wants to. But I did have a phone call with Mr. Coyle and explained that to him. And Graves was aware of that as they're doing inspections out there.
Okay.
Number 6, ensure that proper erosion and sediment controls are being used on stormwater infrastructure. Yes, they absolutely are. Inlet protections for catch basins, construction entrances are being maintained, perimeter erosion control barriers are being maintained. There's been no problems that I'm aware of on site. So, and then I'd say number 7 probably requires a little bit of input from the planning board on this application specifically, but on all the lots as part of our request. So the town engineer recommends that turnarounds be provided at the driveways to prevent the need for vehicles to back out onto Blaker Street. We don't agree necessarily with that request. I think we would defer to the planning board on that. These lots would be being accessed right from Blaker. The remaining 3 lots in the subdivision that are subject to our applications access off the subdivision road. But again, this Blaker Street in general is a very low volume road. This particular side of the subdivision entrance is even lower volume. So we defer to the planning board. We would appreciate your input on this particular comment so we can address the plans accordingly.
Okay, and
I think that's a great point, Madam Chair.
on number 7, I think that's something we would
There's one more comment on 23, 25. Why don't I just cover that and then we can have some discussion. Number 8, the proposed grading on the westerly side of the lot appears to be approximately 3 to 1 or steeper. As such, hydroseed or erosion control blanket should be provided. Again, we've completed revised plans in progress that you just haven't seen. The grading has been revised to make sure is no steeper than 3 to 1. It will be hydroseeded immediately upon the application of screen loam, which is in the very near future, and we don't expect any issues with erosion. If localized erosion becomes a problem, as you know, in every case, we would look at specialized materials or applications for that erosion control, whether it's jute matting or riprap, or some other technology. So no objection. We feel as though revisions are in progress to address comments, but as I indicated, your input on the driveway turnarounds would be appreciated.
Okay, we're going to certainly have to discuss further with Mr. Coyle. He wouldn't have recommended it if he, didn't feel strongly about it. But, Adam,
I did speak to Bill a little while ago, and what his thought on the turnaround was kind of a hammerhead shaped driveway, so a vehicle could back up and turn around and pull out facing forward instead of backing out into the street.
Mm-hmm. And Blaker Street currently is not a high volume, but it eventually is going to be, correct?
I wouldn't say Blake Street would be high volume. Albert Street and then cars crossing over Blaker to continue on Albert towards Route 20. But I don't. When someone comes out of the subdivision, takes a right on Blaker, there's nowhere to go, and that's where this lot driveway is accessed from. I think in the spirit of moving forward, we're not opposed to it. We don't see the need, but again, it's probably not something worth debating too much. But if you're just going to defer to Mr. Coyle,
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm going to call the planning board. Mr. Brooks.
Wendy, I just want to say I'm not sure if there'll ever be the advent that when they come out of the subdivision and they take a right where Blake Street currently dead end, that won't be opened up to go right on to Route 20 at some point. It possibly could. And we don't know. There's still, I think, a little bit of land down here that could be developed. And as you said a few minutes ago, the traffic will greatly increase on that in the future.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Regan?
No comments. I agree with deferring and talking to Bill about this before we make any decisions.
Okay. Mr. Wren?
No comments at this time.
Mr. Lynch?
I have no comments at this time.
Mr. Chambers?
No comments.
Okay.
Wendy?
Yes, Mr.
I just wanted to see what John's thoughts are on the 3-to-1, the 3-to-1 slope and the hydro seeding.
If he's 3-to-1 slope or less, the hydro seeding should hold, but if it's 3-to-1 or greater, they need the mat.
And I just like to
Personally,
yeah, I'm sorry.
I put down the mat anyway because it holds moisture and it makes your grass grow faster. It's a little more expensive, but it's pretty cheap insurance in the long run.
And I'd just like to state too, and I don't know if I speak on behalf of all of we're not a big fan of riprap.
Yeah, understood.
Much prefer to see blanket grass or some hydro seed for erosion control.
Yep, that's our intention.
That sounds terrific. So as we're still waiting on some further input on that, is there any comment from the public?
Yes, this is Eileen Richard at 11 Blaker Street.
Yes, Eileen.
Okay, yes. Yes, I'm concerned about the erosion as well, as my basement already gets flooded, and I'm right on that corner of Blaker and Albert. So I would be very concerned about how that's handled.
Okay, thank you. We will be addressing that for sure.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, hearing none, I believe we're going to have to continue this. Now, do you think within the 2 weeks' time we'll have the information that we need to proceed with this item?
Absolutely. We're prepared to submit revised plans and written responses today, so clearly we'll get them to you maybe as early as tomorrow.
All right, that will give us some time to speak with Mr. Coyle as well. Adam, the next meeting is May 10th? 12th. So I'd entertain a motion to continue this hearing to May 12th.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Brooks makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it, John Regan.
John Regan makes a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Wren?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Regan?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhilber? Aye. It is a vote. We'll see you on May 12th on that one. And moving on to the next, Eastland Partners request a site plan approval under section 3.2.2.1 and 5.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a two-family dwelling on property located at 27-29 Albert Street, map 65, parcel 52. Similar comments, but I'll let you go through each one of those. If you'd like to, on the first one, you're going to provide the certification. We'll have that.
Yep.
Okay. And number 2.
Yep. So number 2, because this lot falls in the subdivision, number 2, he's indicating that no lots should be released until binder pavement is installed. That's customary, and that's our intention. Pavement is scheduled to be installed in the next 1 to 2 weeks, and then we would submit a request for lot releases, along with the request for the planning board to prepare a bond, as is customary within subdivision. So we have no objection to that comment.
Okay. Number 3.
So this is a comment unique to this lot, and I think one other of the lots. Provide cleanouts at grade at each bend along the sewer line connection. It's a standard practice. It would have been built that way, but Mr. Coy wants to see it on the plan, so we've added those to the revised plans that we'll submit. No objection.
Okay. Number 4.
Number 4 is a duplicate comment from the prior regarding erosion controls and sediment controls regarding for stormwater infrastructure. Those are maintained and inspected daily. Stormwater basin, catch basin inlets, perimeter controls, construction entrances are all in place and maintained. So that's again, addressed.
Okay.
Number 5 is the turnaround. Now, on our revised plan, we actually have a turnaround for this driveway due to its length and bend in the driveway. So this is to comply with.
And the fact that it also backs out onto Albert Street, which we just agreed is going to become pretty busy.
Yeah, and then, if I may, Madam Chair, the location of this driveway looks like it's going to fall close to where the 40B project would come out. So, the turnaround makes sense here.
Okay, great. Any comments from any of the board members? Hearing none. Any comments from the public? Hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to continue this hearing to May 12th as well. Someone make that motion? Scott Wren has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it. This is Nick Lynch.
Nick Lynch has seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Scott Wren?
Aye.
Nick Lynch?
Aye.
Steve Chambers?
Aye.
John Regan?
Aye.
Ron Brooks?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber? Aye. It is a vote. We'll see you on the 12th for that one as well. Okay. Eastland Partners requests for site plan approval under section 3.2.2.1 and 5.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a two-family dwelling on property located at 28-30 Albert Street, map 65, parcel 70. This one's a little bit more lengthy. Comments from the first one, Mr. Sturt, will be provided. Again, number 2, with the pavement standard practice.
Correct.
And I'll let you go from there.
Okay, thank you. Comment number 3, he was correct. The north arrow was slightly off on the plan submitted. The revised plan that we will submit has that corrected. That's an easy fix. Number 4, similar comment. Grading easements that are from the definitive subdivision plan. He asked that they be illustrated on the site plan, and they have been on the revised plans that you'll see. No objection from us. Comment number 5 is the sewer line cleanouts again, that they be installed to grade at every bend in the pipe. We've added those to the revised plans. No objection. Number 6, this is a drainage stormwater comment. States that a portion of the overland flow from the back right corner of the lot directs runoff towards the roadway. And he's referring to the subdivision roadway. The grading should be revised to redirect stormwater away from Albert Street. So, quick verbal response to that is the subdivision design, the hydrology analysis for the subdivision accounted for runoff from lots to partially run into the street to be collected by the catch basins. That's pretty typical in subdivision development. But to address his comment, we were able to make some grading changes so that we were able to reduce probably about 60 or 70% of the lot area that drained stormwater to Albert Street subdivision road. And it'll be evident on the revised plans.
Okay.
Number 7 is a repeat comment about erosion and sediment controls. Again, they're all in place and maintained inspected on a daily basis. Number 8 again is the driveway turnarounds. So this driveway falls in the cul-de-sac of the subdivision road. I think our opinion about this one is similar to Blaker, where yes, there will be potential for higher volume of traffic accessing Albert Street subdivision road, but not in the cul-de-sac, because the cul-de-sac obviously terminates. So we feel as though turnaround wouldn't be needed here, but again, not something necessarily we're willing to, cause delays and argue about. the board, were to concur with Bill's comment.
Okay.
And the last one, number 9, as currently shown on the plans, the grading along the southeast section of the parcel, the 28 and 30 Albert Street, creates a steep slope measuring approximately 2 to 1. Either revise the grading to a slope of 3 to 1 or greater, or provide additional engineered controls to ensure that the slope can be stabilized and graded as to safely provide for drainage without erosion. So we've made the grading changes so it's actually even flatter than 3 to 1, which you'll see on the revised plans.
Okay. Any comments from the board?
John Regan, just about the driveway into the cul-de-sac. I'm trying to picture this because I don't have the plans in front of me. Isn't that cul-de-sac potentially going to go straight through to Oxford, so it would be a straight-through street down the road?
I mean, your subdivision regulations require that provision be made, and it has been. So if that were to be the case someday, yeah, that would be a valid point, Mr. Regan.
So a turnaround would be a necessity.
Correct.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to continue to May 12th.
I'll make that motion.
Byron has made the motion. Is there a second?
This is Nick Lynch. I'll second it.
Nick Lynch is seconding it. Is any further discussion? I'll take a roll call. Scott Renz?
Aye.
Nick Lynch?
Aye.
Steve Chambers?
Aye.
John Regan?
Aye.
Ronnie Brooks?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber? Aye. It is a vote. Continue to 5/12.
Thank you.
Thank you. Applicant Webster 5 Cent Savings Bank requests a site plan modification under section 3.2.6.0 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a corporate bank office building on property located at 31 and 35 Millbury Street, Auburn, Mass. Map 42, parcel 21 and 32. Is there someone here from Webster 5?
Wendy, I think you skipped one on the Albert Street.
Did I skip one?
Yeah, 33 and 31.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 31 to 33. My apologies. Applicant is Eastland Partners. Requests a site plan approval under section. They all look the same. 3.2.2.1 and 5.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaws for two-family dwelling on property located at 3133 Albert Street, Auburn, Mass. Map 65, parcel 68. I think we agreed the first one, you're going to provide that. The second one, standard practice, is regards pavement. And I'll let you go on from there.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. The third comment is a repeat comment as well.
Okay.
Easements shown on the definitive plans will have been added to the site plan. You'll see that on the revised submittal.
Mm-hmm.
Comment number 4, connections to the sewer and water main shall be shown on the plan. The original plan, they were covered up by the text used to label Albert Street. That's been adjusted on the revised plan, so the connection is clearly illustrated. Number 5 is a repeat comment about proper erosion and sediment controls, as I've mentioned, inspected and maintained daily. So no objection from us. Number 6 is a repeat comment as well about turnarounds for the driveways. Again, this driveway comes into the cul-de-sac. As though that the general sentiment is that the turnarounds be provided, so we'll amend the plans to include those turnarounds.
Okay.
And number 7, the proposed grading on the southerly side of the lot appears to be approximately 3 to 1 or steeper. As such, hydroseed or an erosion control blanket should be provided. It is 3 to 1. It will not be steeper than 3 to 1. It'll be 3 to 1. We are trying to limit the work in the wetland buffer zone. We do have a pending notice of intent application, but it is 3 to 1, which can certainly be easily stabilized and mowed at 3-1. So we did confirm that 3-1 is the slope, and it won't be any steeper.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes the comments for that one.
Great, thank you. Any comments from the planning board members? Any comments from the public?
Yes, Eileen Lassard, 11 Blaker Street.
Yes, Eileen, go ahead.
There are just two general comments. I own property across from where all the entrances and exits are going on to the subdivision extension of Albert Street. And I've been told by Eastman a couple of times that I don't own as much property there as I think I do. But they don't own any property there, and they continue to use it and destroy some of the foliage there, the lady slippers in particular, which is a major concern for me. And I just want that to be noted that they really shouldn't be tearing that up. It's not their property.
Adam, how should we, if we get someone to take a look at that?
Yeah, we can look into that.
Eileen, and I'm sorry, is it Bressard you said?
Say again?
Your last name is Bressard?
Lessard, Lessard, at 11 Blaker.
My apologies, it's a little...
That's okay.
We'll take a look into that. We've noted that comment, and we'll have someone take a look, okay?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate it. I should have met it earlier. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, any other comments from the public? I'll entertain a motion to continue to May 12th. Anybody?
I'll make the motion to continue May 12th. John Regan.
John Regan has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second Scott Reynolds.
Okay, Scott Wren has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Nick Lynch?
Aye.
Steve Chambers?
Aye.
Ron Brooks?
Aye.
John Regan?
Aye.
Scott Wren?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber, aye. It's a vote. We'll see you on the 12th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Applicant is Webster Park Savings Bank request for site plan modification under section 3.2.6.0 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for corporate bank office building on property located at 31 and 35 Millbury Street, Auburn, Mass. Map 42, parcel 21 and 32. Who is here for Webster Park Savings?
Yes, Madam Chair, Attorney Todd Broder for the applicant.
Mr. Broder, thank you. Go right ahead.
Sure. So 2 weeks ago when we were in front of you virtually, we discussed this bank headquarter renovation project, and we adjourned so that Graves Engineering could do their peer review. We received their initial peer review and quickly turned around, thanks to Bowler Engineering's work, a revised set of plans. Also addressed, hopefully, Mr. Regan's comments that he made at the last hearing. Graves was kind enough to do a further review, and you should have in your possession an April 23rd letter from them, which I would suggest to you doesn't really leave any open items on their end. So I think they have what I call a clean review letter, and you should have that in front of you. Hopefully we've addressed Mr. Regan's comments, and if not, we can try to handle any of those tonight. You should have a revised set of plans as well. And, we're just looking to see if you have any further comments or questions.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Adam, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I have Graves' final review, and like Mr. Broder said, it's a clean bill of health on that end. There were no other comments from the town at this point.
Okay, great. And are there any comments from the planning board members? No. Any comments from the public? Hearing none. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion to approve.
I'm sorry?
and close the hearing first.
Close the public.
Oh, my apologies. I need a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make the motion to close the hearing.
I'll second
And
it.
you are, who said that?
John Regan.
Bonnie?
All right, Mr. Brooks made the motion. Mr. Regan seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Wren?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
No, abstain.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Regan?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhelper, aye. It is a vote. Thank you. Good luck on that project. That's gonna be a good one.
Wendy, that was to close the hearing, correct?
Yeah, close the hearing.
I'm losing my mind tonight.
Scott Wren, I'll make a motion
Thank
to
you
approve
guys for keeping my feet to the fire here. We'll make a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Who made the motion?
Scott made the motion, John
I
Regan.
made the motion. John Regan seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Lynch?
No, abstain.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Regan?
Aye.
Mr. Wren?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhelber, aye. It is a motion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Applicant is XZLL Realty LLC, definitive subdivision plan for a 13-lot single-family home development on property located at 178 Hampton Street and 19 Eaton Ave, map 12, parcel 120. And who is here for the applicant?
Madam Chairwoman and members of the board, it's Donald O'Neill. I'm a lawyer with an office at 688 Pleasant Street in Worcester, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. On this item, we are still waiting for comments back from Graves, and we were hoping that we would have those this evening, and or in advance of this evening, they had some time to respond. And I'm just asking if perhaps the board, if you see fit, could urge Graves along with their review in hopes that we get something so that when we come back, if we're continued, which I expect we will be to the meeting on May 12th, that we have a substantive conversation at that point. So we're still waiting, and the only reason I didn't continue it, just generally was that my client is getting anxious, and we'd like to move forward if we could, and would hope that maybe you could get Graves to complete their review so that we could respond.
Okay, we will, the board will ask Mr. Menard to check in with Graves and find out what the status is.
Okay. Yeah, no, I know there's a lot going on and with everything that's taking place and so forth, but they have had it for a while, and we'd like to get something back as soon as we could. So I would appreciate that.
All right, were there any other comments? Anyone on the board?
Wendy?
Yes, Mr. Brooks?
I'd just like to ask Adam, to make sure through you to Adam that we're all right with time and we don't need to have him to sign an extension or anything.
No, he doesn't have to sign an extension. I can send him a continuance form tomorrow to have that signed.
Yeah, and I'm fine signing an extension if Adam sends it along.
Okay. Any other comments? Any comments from the public? I'm hearing them. I'll make a motion. Do you think May 12th? Adam?
Yeah, I'm hopeful we'll have something from Graves as soon as this week.
Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing until May 12th. Will someone make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Brooks has made the motion. Is there a second? Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Wren?
I'm abstaining from this one.
Okay, Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Chambers?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Regan?
Aye.
Wendy Steinholder, aye. It is a motion to continue.
Scott, were you?
Okay, thank you very much.
Scott, were you abstaining
Thank you.
or recusing?
Pardon me, did you say, Adam?
Were you abstaining or recusing? From the.
I'm sorry, I'm recusing.
Okay.
I'm recusing myself, sorry.
Thank you.
All right. And applicant CGT Inc. requesting a special permit and site plan approval under 3.9.2.2 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a drive-through coffee shop located at 711 Southbridge Street, Auburn, Mass. Map 61, parcel 37. Who's in attendance for this hearing?
Wendy, they're still working with Mass DOT on their setup there. It's taking a while for them to figure out how they're going to handle Route 12 and the entrance to that site.
Okay. So 2 weeks, a month? Continue to May 12th?
Yes.
Okay.
Wendy?
Mr. Brooks?
Again, I'd just like to ask Adam through you, are we okay with the time?
Yes. We're fine.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion for continuance to May 12th.
So moved, Scott Wren.
Scott Wren, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Brooks, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Wren?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Regan?
Aye.
Wendy Steinholder, aye. It is a motion. The vote. The Ashworth Hill. I have a letter here, Adam, for the release of the lot 5 from covenant.
Yes. That's one of the duplexes that was just continued earlier.
Okay.
That's the one that has it's on Blaker Street.
Okay. We've continued it, so we're not going to do anything on that tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's up to the board. The purpose of the lot release is so they can get a building permit. I wouldn't expect the building commission to issue a building permit without the site plan approval.
Yeah, we can't get that cleared up yet. Okay. All right, so we don't need to continue that, do we?
No, I can just add it to the next meeting.
All right, great. Do you have any updates? Adam?
I do not. I don't know if anyone from Eastern Partners wants to address the lot release while they're still on the line or not.
It's Clay Williams with Eastern Partners. We just applied for this one first since the ways and services were already installed. Since Blaker Street is already paved, we figured it was reasonable to request this lot release now at this meeting. But it's perfectly fine to come back to you in 2 weeks to discuss the modifications that we've made after you've seen the final plans and comment letters.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, and there were no meeting minutes, correct? I did not see any.
No, there weren't.
Okay. I'd like to ask for just a moment of silence. We have lost another member of the planning board. Jim Roffer passed this week. So let's take a moment.
that motion, Wendy?
Mr. Brooks has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it, John Regan.
John Regan. All those in favor, Mr. Wren?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Regan?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber, aye. It is a vote. Thank you all. And we'll see you on May 12th.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.